Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Prime 1 Studios 1/3 scale unboxing and review video. Now today we are taking a look finally at the Heath Ledger Joker bust. Now I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and a points-based reward system. Now of course the big reason why we were all waiting for this bust to arrive was because this head sculpt is compatible with their 1/3 scale Joker statue. Now of course that did come with one of the most controversial head sculpts that we've seen in a while. So I am very curious to see what this new head sculpt does for the statue as a whole. Some people did comment on my previous video that, hey, I'm not interested in getting this statue until I see the new head sculpt on the body, so don't worry, we will absolutely be doing that, plus a ton of comparisons. Now if you are just checking out this video because you've only ordered the bust, don't worry, we will be doing a full detailed review on the bust first before we even think about putting it on the statue body. Now, I didn't really know what to expect because I didn't do a ton of research on the Joker bust itself. I didn't know how big it was going to be, I didn't know how heavy it was going to be, and I didn't know if the head sculpt that came on the statue originally was going to be compatible with the bust. But I'm pleased to report, yeah, it absolutely is. We will be trying that out in just a moment. Now the upper torso isn't done in the usual Joker style. There's no purple coat, there's no green vest, and there's no detailed shirt and tie. It's entirely painted in black. Now I totally understand if this aesthetic isn't for you, but I know a lot of collectors, including myself, who only picked up the bust for the head sculpt. Now, speaking of the head sculpt, it's a completely different expression to the original. And in my opinion, it's a massive upgrade. I did really start to like that more goofy expression that came with the statue. But now that I'm seeing this one in hand, yeah, there's no contest at all. The expression is far more serious. Now he still does retain some of the same details. The hair is still that sculpted hunk with a ton of little individual strands of rooted hair. I'm perfectly fine with that. I loved the way it looked on the original and it looks great here. Although the green is still ever so slightly too saturated, at least for me. Now, if you are wondering if you can use the more goofy expression on the bust, say for instance if you have this head sculpt on the body, yes, absolutely it is compatible. Although I will note that it wasn't the easiest thing in the world to peg into the bust. I don't know exactly why, because the connector does appear to be the same overall shape and size. I think it's just the way they've designed the neck. It's a little bit slimmer on the newer bust head sculpt. But yes, if you do want to still have both head sculpts in the display, like I do, you can have this head sculpt on the bust sitting right next to the statue. Here we have the bust itself up close and personal. Now while this is relatively compact, it's also extremely heavy. This is made of a solid hunk of polystone. Down below you have the Joker, slightly askew in a vibrant red. Ha 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 in the shape of a bat symbol on one side, the other side is completely blank and so too is the back. Underneath you have the Joker, Prime 1 and Blitzway, plus your handwritten number out of the edition size. Now up top you do of course have Joker's upper torso. The vest is very well textured and detailed, so too is the tie, the shirt and the jacket. Although I will note it is a little glossy, at least for me. Now because it is so stylized, I think they get away with it. If this was purple and all of the other bits and pieces were in the colors they're supposed to be, I don't think the glossy look would have worked as well. One side you do have ha 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 with this red highlight, the other why so serious, and then around the back a bunch more ha ha ha's plus a bat logo. You also have a ton of detail on the backside. Unfortunately, you don't really get to see a ton of this because it is around the back. There are some metal beams that have been cracked and damaged, they do look rusty and nasty, plus a ton of concrete detail. It does extend around the front and you do get a little peek of one of those rusty bars, but you don't really get to see a ton of it, as I said. Now, you do get an additional Joker card with this bust. It is a different card to what we saw with the statue. Now, for some reason, the printing on the one that came with the statue is way softer. The new one is very sharp. You've got Joker in all four corners, plus an image of a Joker or a Jester, and then some card backing printed on the back. It isn't made of cardboard, it's made of a very thick and sturdy plastic. It's also ever so slightly thicker than the original. Now don't worry, you will be seeing this new card in the statue's hand in just a second. Now don't worry, we will of course be popping this head sculpt on the statue body, but I did want to dissect it in the light box first. I really like it. I think the expression is on point and the paint applications are more than serviceable. That, though, doesn't mean it's perfect. Now, comparing it back to the original statue head, I think it's a big improvement. I think the likeness is vastly superior and the expression is far more menacing. It suits the pose, whereas the one on the right is slightly more comical. That being said, there is a ton more skin texture both on the nose and on the chin, whereas this new one is a lot smoother. Now that might be the look you prefer, but for me, having all of that pore detail just made him look way more HD. Now you do still have the individual strands of rooted hair that's been woven into the plastic hair. It's a nice touch, and it means there is a level of customizability. You don't, however, have the moving eyes. That was something that I was hoping this would retain, but unfortunately they are fixed in position. At the very least, when he is looking front on, he does look very mean. They've also extended some of the white paint up into his hairline. That's something that I think was sorely missing from the original. It literally was a sharp cutoff when you got to the hairline, whereas now it's a much smoother gradient. That kind of makes sense because when you're applying face paint, you don't really get to have as crisp of a line as the original head sculpt did. He also has the black eye makeup that's trailing down as if he's maybe been crying, just a little. Now, the only other complaint I have aside from the pore detail is how pink the mouth is. It should be just a little bit more of a vibrant red. But overall, those are some very minor nitpicks. This is a huge upgrade for the statue. This review, of course, wouldn't be complete without a comparison to the Queen Studios head sculpt. Now, while I do prefer the detail and paint applications on Queen's head sculpt, as well as the rooted hair, both in color and texture, I am finding I prefer the expression and the likeness on the Prime 1 sculpt. But do let me know which of these two you prefer down in the comments below. And now, of course, for the moment I'm sure you've all been waiting for. If you own the Joker statue and the sole reason you're picking up the bust is for this head sculpt, oh, you are not going to be disappointed. This head sculpt is a huge upgrade. It takes this Joker statue from being a middle-of-the-road piece for me to now being my favorite 1/3 scale Joker statue ever. The expression, the skin tone, the paint applications, the way they've done the hair, and how it sits slightly askew on the body, there is so much personality here. I didn't really think it was going to be as big of an upgrade as it is. Now, I am curious. Do let me know what you think of this combo down below. Now, of course, you can pop the new playing card in his hand, which is exactly what I've done here. It's not a huge difference, but it's the little details that matter, and I personally do prefer this new playing card. Now, for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have both versions of the Joker head sculpt by Prime 1 Studio and Blitzway. Now, the body, of course, is identical here. I've changed nothing except the playing card. The cards in each of their hands do correspond to the ones that come with each head sculpt. For me, once again, the new one is a huge upgrade. Now, it is going to be down to personal preference which one you prefer, but the more serious expression and the way the eyes are done being ever so slightly bigger just makes the likeness even more obvious. I also like that the hair is slightly different. There is more hair on the side that he's leaning down on versus the other where it's slightly more flat, whereas on the original it was big on both sides. It's a subtle difference, but once again it's one that is noticeable in person. Now, once again, if you do like the original sculpt, then that's great. Go ahead and use that one. But for me, I'm absolutely going to be going with the new one in the display. It is a night and day difference. Just wrapping up on the 1/3 scale Joker bust and upgraded head sculpt for the statue. Going into this, I was excited, but I had no idea how good this head sculpt was going to be. It's truly incredible. This might just be one of Prime 1 and Blitzway's best head sculpts ever. I am curious to see what the reception is going to be like, because I kind of did like the original, but people in the comments let me know that, hey Justin, you're way off the mark, it doesn't look very good. I am hoping this one hits the mark for you. If you have this bust coming, you have a reason to be very, very excited. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and a points-based reward system. I do have to say a massive thank you to my buddy Slam Collections on Instagram. He was a huge help in filming this piece. Check out the link to his page in the description. He has a ton of awesome videos and some gorgeous photos. While you are down there, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.